The mockery. Captain Victoria Russell stood at the viewport of the Perseverance, watching the stars drift by with practiced calm. Her weathered hands, marked by 20 years of military service, rested on the safety rail as she contemplated the vast expanse before her. The Perseverance wasn't the newest ship in Earth's fleet, far from it. But like its captain, it had earned its reputation through reliability rather than flash. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Marcus Wung's voice broke through her reflection. We're picking up an anomaly at the edge of our sensor range. It's like nothing we've seen before. Victoria turned from the viewport, her gray-streaked black hair catching the soft light of the bridge. Show me. The main display flickered to life, revealing a massive vessel that seemed to defy physics itself. Its hull gleamed with an impossible sheen, as if crafted from liquid starlight. No visible engines, no apparent weapons, just pure, elegant efficiency. Their energy signature is off the charts, reported Technical Officer Olivia Martinez, her fingers dancing across her console. They're either incredibly advanced or they want us to think they are. Open a channel, Victoria ordered, straightening her uniform. First contact scenarios were what they'd trained for, but no amount of training could fully prepare you for the real thing. The alien vessel responded immediately. The being that appeared on screen had crystalline features, its skin seeming to shift colors like an opal. I am High Commander Zix of the Gentai Empire, it announced, its words perfectly translated. Your presence has been noted, primitive vessel. Victoria maintained her diplomatic composure. I am Captain Victoria Russell of the Earth space ship Perseverance. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations. The alien's features shifted to what might have been amusement. Diplomatic relations, your vessel's design suggests you barely understand the basics of space travel. Those auxiliary systems, manual controls. Zix made a sound that needed no translation, derision. We have been watching your species. Your technology is crude, your methods inefficient. Perhaps, Victoria replied carefully, but we find our methods effective. Effective? Zix's color darkened slightly. Your ships require multiple backup systems because your primary systems are unreliable. You maintain physical controls because you don't trust automation. You build redundancies upon redundancies because you expect failure. The Gentai achieved perfection centuries ago. As the conversation continued, Lieutenant Commander Wung quietly ran deeper scans of the alien vessel. He noticed something odd about their power distribution. It was too perfect, too centralized. No redundancies, no backups. Their confidence in their technology was absolute. The meeting ended with the Gentai offering to guide humanity toward proper technological development. As their image faded from the screen, Victoria turned to her crew. Thoughts? They're hiding something, Wung said immediately. Their scans of us were too thorough for a casual first contact. Olivia nodded in agreement. And did you notice how they kept focusing on our backup systems, almost like they were trying to understand why we'd build ships this way? Victoria had noticed. She'd also noticed how the Gentai ship had maintained a specific position throughout the encounter, one that would give them a tactical advantage if things turned hostile. Over the next few weeks, the Perseverance made additional contact with Gentai vessels. Each encounter followed a similar pattern: condescension, careful scanning, and offers of guidance. But Victoria's crew was doing their own analysis. Look at this, Wung said during a senior staff meeting, displaying his findings. Their ships are marvels of engineering, but they're built on the assumption that nothing will ever go wrong. No redundancies, no manual overrides, no backup power systems. Because nothing ever does go wrong for them, Olivia added, their technology is so advanced that they've eliminated the possibility of failure. At least that's what they believe. Chief Engineer Nathan Bradford, his hands stained with engine grease, spoke up. Everything fails eventually. That's not pessimism, it's physics. The universe tends toward chaos. We build redundancies because we respect that fact. Victoria listened to her crew's observations, a growing sense of unease in her stomach. The Gentai's dismissal of human methods felt too deliberate, their interest in Earth's technology too focused. Her suspicions were confirmed a month later when Wung decoded a partially intercepted transmission between Gentai vessels. Captain, he called her to his station, his face grave. You need to see this. The decoded message revealed the truth. The Gentai Empire had encountered numerous other species throughout the galaxy. Those who accepted their guidance were slowly stripped of their technological independence, becoming wholly dependent on Gentai systems. Those who refused. Send this to Earth Command immediately, Victoria ordered, and begin battle preparations. They'll laugh at that too, Olivia said quietly. Our primitive battle preparations. Victoria's lips curved into a slight smile. Let them laugh. They've never faced an enemy who expects things to go wrong, who plans for failure instead of denying its possibility. As if on cue, alarms blared across the bridge. 3 Gentai warships had dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their weapons already charged. The message was clear: submit or be destroyed. Battle stations, Victoria ordered calmly. Let's show them why humans plan for the worst. As her crew rushed to their positions, Victoria remembered something her first commander had told her. The most dangerous opponent isn't the one with the best technology, it's the one who knows how to fight on even when everything goes wrong. The Gentai were about to learn that lesson the hard way. The Perseverance's engines hummed to life, its primitive systems ready for battle. On the bridge, Victoria Russell stood ready to prove that sometimes the best technology isn't the most advanced, it's the most reliable. Weapons ready, Wang reported. Shields at maximum, Olivia added. All backup systems standing by, Bradford confirmed from engineering. Victoria nodded, her eyes fixed on the approaching Gentai ships. Let's show them what humanity's primitive tactics can do. The space between the ships lit up with weapons fire, marking the beginning of a conflict that would change the way both species thought about warfare forever. The Gentai were about to learn that perfection had its price, and imperfection its advantages. The battle for humanity's independence had begun, and it would be fought not with perfect technology, but with the adaptability and resilience that had allowed humanity to survive countless setbacks throughout its history. The Gentai had laughed at human tactics, but nobody was laughing now. Breaking formation. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Wung stood hunched over his tactical display, his dark eyes reflecting the holographic battle projections. Around him, the bridge of the Perseverance thrummed with tension as the 3 Gentai warships closed in. Their formation is perfect, he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. Too perfect. Captain Victoria Russell caught his tone. You have an idea, Marcus. Maybe, his fingers traced patterns on the display. They move like dancers in a choreographed performance, every maneuver calculated to the microsecond. But what happens when the music changes? Before Victoria could respond, Technical Officer Olivia Martinez cut in. Multiple FTL signatures detected, 5 more Gentai vessels entering the system. 8 against 1, Victoria observed calmly. Hardly seems fair to them. Her apparent confidence brought slight smiles to her crew's faces, despite the odds. The Gentai ships moved with synchronized grace, their formation expanding to encircle the Perseverance. Captain High Commander Zix's voice filled the bridge, dripping with condescension. Your resistance is futile. Accept our guidance and we will overlook this primitive display of defiance. Victoria nodded to Wung. Show them our response. Wung's hands flew across his console. The Perseverance's engines roared to life, but instead of retreating or attacking, the ship began to spin on its axis while maintaining its forward momentum. To the Gentai's precise sensors, it appeared to be a malfunction. Their formation is shifting to compensate, Olivia reported. They think we've lost control. Perfect, Wung grinned, initiating sequence Delta. The Perseverance's spin suddenly reversed, while simultaneously releasing a cloud of metallic debris, maintenance scrap that Wung had specifically requested be saved for this moment. The debris scattered in a spiral pattern, creating a chaotic field of radar reflections that confused the Gentai's automated targeting systems. This is embarrassing, Zix's voice came through again. Your ship is clearly malfunctioning, allow us to. His transmission cut off as Wung launched his real attack. Hidden among the debris were specially modified probes, each broadcasting signals that mimicked the Perseverance's signature. To the Gentai's sensors, it suddenly appeared as if they were facing multiple human vessels, all moving in seemingly random patterns. Their targeting systems are trying to track all signatures simultaneously, Olivia reported with barely contained excitement. They can't establish a lock. Victoria leaned forward in her command chair. Mr. Bradford, how are our engines holding up? The crazy spin put some strain on them, Nathan Bradford's voice came through from engineering, but that's exactly what our redundant systems are for. We can keep this up all day. The Gentai ship's perfect formation began to break as they attempted to track multiple targets. Their weapons' fire scattered across space, hitting nothing but debris and empty sensor ghosts. Now comes the fun part, Wang said, initiating the next phase of his plan. The Perseverance suddenly cut all power, appearing to drift dead in space. It was an old trick, one that dated back to Earth's earliest space battles, but the Gentai had never encountered it before. They're not even considering that we might have done this deliberately, Olivia noted, watching the enemy ship's reactions. Their tactical doctrine doesn't account for intentional system shutdowns. As the Gentai ships moved closer to investigate, Wang struck. The Perseverance's system surged back to life, weapons firing from point-blank range. At such close distance, even the Gentai's advanced shielding couldn't fully compensate. Direct hits on two vessels, Olivia called out. Their perfect hulls aren't so perfect anymore. The bridge crew watched in amazement as Wang's unconventional tactics continued to wreak havoc on the Gentai formation. The enemy ships, designed for precision and coordination, couldn't adapt to the chaotic nature of the battle. Their whole combat doctrine is based on predictability, Wang explained as he worked. They expect enemies to either attack head-on or retreat. They don't have protocols for this. As if to emphasize his point, he launched another spray of debris, this time mixed with electromagnetic pulse generators. When the Gentai ships tried to dodge, they flew right into the Perseverance's waiting guns. 3 ships heavily damaged, Olivia reported. The others they're retreating. Victoria allowed herself a small smile. Send a message to High Commander Zix, she ordered. Tell him we're sorry if our primitive tactics confused their superior systems. The battle had lasted less than an hour, but its implications would echo across the galaxy. The Gentai, for the first time in centuries, had been forced to retreat. In the aftermath, as damage control teams worked to repair the Perseverance's battle scars, Wang found himself summoned to a private meeting with Captain Russell. That was impressive tactical thinking, she said, pouring them both cups of coffee, real coffee from her personal supply, using our supposed weaknesses as strengths. Wang accepted the cup gratefully. I just thought about what they would never expect. Their technology is amazing, but they've forgotten something fundamental about warfare. Which is, the best weapon isn't always the most advanced one. It's the one your enemy doesn't know how to counter. Victoria nodded thoughtfully. Earth Command will want a full report on these tactics. This won't be our last battle with the Gentai. No, Wang agreed. They'll adapt, try to counter what we did today. But that's the beauty of it, Captain. We don't need to be perfect. We just need to keep them guessing. As if to punctuate his words, a distant explosion lit up space where one of their electromagnetic pulse generators had finally detonated, its timing deliberately randomized. Even their weapons refused to follow a predictable pattern. The victory at what would later be called the Battle of First Defense marked a turning point in humanity's conflict with the Gentai. It proved that superior technology alone didn't guarantee victory. Sometimes, the ability to embrace chaos, to plan for failure, and to think unconventionally could overcome even the most advanced systems. As the Perseverance set course for Earth to report their success, Victoria knew that this was just the beginning. The Gentai would return stronger and more prepared. But now they knew something they hadn't before. Humans weren't just primitive warriors with outdated technology. They were something far more dangerous, an enemy who turned unpredictability into an art form and imperfection into an advantage. The real war was about to begin. Calculated chaos. Chief Engineer Rajesh Patel stood in the bustling hangar of Earth's Orbital Command, surrounded by the 4 ships that would form Task Force Omega. The Perseverance was there, of course, along with the Intrepid, the Dauntless, and his own previous assignment, the Challenger. Each vessel represented a different era of human engineering, a fact that would have made the Gentai cringe. They're calling us the Scrapyard Fleet, he said to Captain Victoria Russell, his calloused hands gesturing at the ships. But they haven't seen what I've done with them yet. Victoria smiled, nodding the pride in his voice. Earth Command had specifically requested Rajesh for Task Force Omega after reading his controversial papers on hybrid technology integration. He was known for combining outdated systems with cutting-edge tech in ways that shouldn't work, but somehow did. Show me what you've got, Chief, she said. Rajesh led her to a holographic display. I've been studying the Gentai debris from your last battle. Their tech is incredible, but it's also predictable. Every system, every circuit follows the same perfect patterns. So I thought, what if we deliberately made our ships imperfect? The display showed modifications to all four ships: asymmetrical power distributions, randomized shield frequencies, and weapon systems that could switch between multiple targeting algorithms mid-fight. It's beautiful, Lieutenant Commander Wang commented, joining them. They won't be able to predict which ship will behave in which way. Exactly, Rajesh beamed. The Intrepid's running on crystalline computing, but I've integrated old analog backup systems. The Dauntless has quantum shields, but they're modulated through 20th century radio equipment. The Challenger, that's my favorite, has a propulsion system that randomly switches between fusion and antimatter drive. And the Perseverance, Victoria asked. Ah, Rajesh's eyes lit up. For her, I've got something special. Before he could elaborate, alarms blared throughout the station. The Gentai had launched a major offensive, striking at human supply lines across 3 sectors simultaneously. Time to test your modifications in the field, Victoria said. Task Force Omega deploy. The 4 ships launched from Earth's orbit, each moving with distinctly different patterns. The Perseverance led the formation, if you could call it that. Rajesh's modifications meant each ship's signature appeared slightly different to sensors, making them harder to track as a group. Their first target was a Gentai supply convoy near the Arcturus Nebula. High Commander Zix had established a major logistics hub there, believing the nebula's radiation would deter human attacks. They're counting on the nebula interfering with our systems, Rajesh explained from his new position as Task Force Omega's chief engineer. But irregular systems can't be irregulated. Did you just make up that word? Olivia asked from her station. Probably, he grinned, but watch this. As they approached the nebula, each ship activated Rajesh's special modifications. The Intrepid's crystalline computers began processing data through analog filters, creating sensor readings that somehow cut through the nebula's interference. The Dauntless's hybrid shields adapted to the radiation, using it to strengthen their defenses instead of fighting against it. Contact, Wang announced. 8 Gentai warships protecting the supply vessels. The enemy ships moved to intercept, their formation as precise as ever. But this time, Task Force Omega was ready. Execute Operation Pandemonium, Victoria ordered. The human ships scattered, each executing completely different attack patterns. The Challenger switched drive systems mid-maneuver, its energy signature suddenly changing from fusion to antimatter. The Gentai targeting systems, designed to track logical power fluctuations, couldn't compensate. They're trying to predict our movement patterns, Wang reported with satisfaction. Good luck with that. Rajesh's voice came over the comm from his position in engineering. Initiating the Perseverance's special modification now, Captain. Victoria felt her ship shudder as Rajesh's masterpiece activated. He had taken the Gentai debris from their previous battle and integrated it into the Perseverance's systems, but with a twist. The alien technology was running through human analog circuits, creating energy signatures that appeared as nonsense to Gentai sensors. Their flagship is broadcasting, Olivia announced. Audio only. This is impossible. High Commander Zix's voice was filled with genuine confusion. Your ships, they violate every principle of proper engineering, they should not function. But they do, Victoria replied calmly. Funny thing about human engineering, Commander, we learned long ago that proper isn't always effective. The randomness actually improved some systems, he reported with wonder. It's like the ships learned to dance with uncertainty instead of fighting it. Can the Gentai copy this? She asked. Rajesh shook his head. They can try, but they'll always try to perfect it, and that's exactly what makes it not work. You can't control quantum chaos, you can only learn to work with it. Victoria nodded, understanding that this battle had done more than just save a colony. It had demonstrated a fundamental truth about the nature of warfare, technology, and perhaps even existence itself. True strength lies not in achieving perfection, but in learning to thrive within imperfection. As reports came in from across human space of Gentai fleets in retreat, Victoria knew that the war had reached its turning point. The question now was, what would the Gentai learn from this defeat? Would they finally understand that their pursuit of perfection had become their greatest weakness? The answer would come soon enough, and Task Force Omega would be ready, imperfect, unpredictable, and more dangerous than ever. Evolution of war. The crystalline spires of the Gentai homeworld glittered like frozen lightning against the dark canvas of space. Task Force Omega's four ships, Perseverance, Intrepid, Dauntless, and Challenger, held position just outside the system's defense grid, accompanied by 12 other vessels from Earth's fleet. It had been 6 months since the Battle of Proxima Centauri, and everything had changed. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Captain Victoria Russell said, studying the alien world through the Perseverance's viewport. "All that perfection. And all those weapons," Lieutenant Commander Wung added, monitoring the tactical display. "I'm counting at least 300 orbital platforms plus their planetary shield grid." "The shield grid is what interests me," Chief Engineer Rajesh Patel's voice came through from engineering. "Look at the power fluctuations." Technical Officer Olivia Martinez adjusted her sensors, her eyes widening. "These readings, they're not perfectly stable anymore. The Gentai have actually introduced controlled randomness into their defense systems." "They're learning," Victoria observed, "but are they learning the right lessons?" The answer came in the form of a transmission from the surface. High Commander Zix's image appeared on screen, but something was different. The crystalline being's usual rigid posture had softened, and there was something new in his expression: uncertainty. "Captain Russell," he began, "your presence here is unexpected." "Really?" Victoria replied. "After Proxima Centauri, I thought you'd have calculated every possible move we might make." "That is precisely why I have requested this audience." Zix's color shifted, and what they had learned was a sign of internal conflict. "Our pursuit of perfect warfare, even perfect chaos, was flawed. We require discussion." Victoria exchanged glances with her crew. This wasn't the response they had anticipated when they launched their bold push toward the Gentai homeworld. "I'm listening," she said. What followed was unprecedented in Gentai history, an admission of error. Through their encounters with human forces, particularly Task Force Omega, the Gentai had been forced to confront the limitations of their philosophy of perfection. "Our analysis of your tactics revealed something profound," Zix explained. "The very unpredictability we dismissed as primitive was actually a form of adaptation we had forgotten. In pursuing perfect systems, we became perfectly predictable." "And now," Victoria prompted. "Now we seek balance," Zix gestured, and new data streamed to the human ships. "We have begun implementing hybrid systems, combining our technology with principles learned from studying your methods. Observe." The tactical display updated, showing the Gentai's modified defense grid. They had maintained their advanced technology but introduced redundancies, manual overrides, and even deliberately randomized response patterns. "Fascinating," Rajesh muttered, studying the specifications. "They've created systems that are both highly advanced and intentionally imperfect. It's like they've discovered a new form of engineering." "Not new," Zix corrected. "Rediscovered. Our ancient records speak of a time before we became obsessed with perfection, when we too understood the value of adaptation and redundancy. We simply forgot these lessons in our drive for advancement." Victoria considered this, "And now you want to remember them." "We propose an exchange," Zix said. "Not submission, as we once demanded of others, but collaboration. Your understanding of adaptive warfare combined with our technological capabilities could revolutionize space combat doctrine." "And protect both our peoples," Victoria added, understanding the unspoken concern. The galaxy was vast, and neither humans nor Gentai were likely to be alone in it forever. What followed was a demonstration that would have been unthinkable months earlier. The Gentai deactivated their defense grid, allowing Task Force Omega to approach their homeworld. In return, Victoria authorized Rajesh and Olivia to share the principles behind their quantum cascade system. Together, human and Gentai engineers began working on something entirely new: ships and systems that combined the best of both approaches. The result was a hybrid technology that was neither perfectly ordered nor completely chaotic, but adaptively balanced between the two. "Look at this," Rajesh explained during a joint briefing weeks later. "Their crystalline computing cores, integrated with our redundant systems, create something entirely new. The systems can shift between perfect precision and controlled chaos as needed." "Adaptive perfection," a Gentai engineer added, using a term that would have been considered heretical months earlier. The implications went beyond military applications. The Gentai began introducing controlled imperfection into their society, creating more resilient systems and more adaptable solutions to problems. Humans, in turn, learned to better harness the precision and efficiency that the Gentai had mastered. 1 year after their arrival at the Gentai homeworld, Task Force Omega prepared to return to Earth. The ships looked different now, upgraded with hybrid technology that represented the best of both civilizations. But more importantly, both species had evolved in their understanding of warfare and technology. It's ironic, Victoria said during their final meeting with Zix. You once laughed at our primitive methods, and now those same principles have changed your entire society. The greatest wisdom often comes from unexpected sources, Zix replied. We sought to perfect warfare and nearly perfected our own defeat. You showed us that true advancement comes not from eliminating imperfection, but from learning to harness it. As the human ships departed, they left behind more than just technical knowledge. They had helped spark a revolution in Gentai thinking, while their own understanding of technology and warfare had evolved as well. In her final log entry before returning to Earth, Victoria reflected on their journey. The Gentai laughed at human tactics, but in the end, those tactics changed them. Not through force or humiliation, but by demonstrating a fundamental truth. The strongest systems are not those that achieve perfection, but those that can adapt when perfection fails. We came expecting a war and found instead an evolution, both in how we fight and how we think about fighting. The galaxy remains a dangerous place, but now we face those dangers with new understanding. Perfect or imperfect, advanced or primitive, these are just words. The real measure of any system, any society, is its ability to learn, adapt, and grow. In that, perhaps we have all found a kind of perfection after all. Task Force Omega's ships jumped to faster-than-light speed, leaving behind the glittering spires of the Gentai homeworld. In their wake, they left not a conquered enemy, but a transformed civilization, and had been transformed themselves in return. The war that began with mockery had ended with mutual respect, and the future that awaited both species would be neither perfect nor chaotic, but something far more valuable. It would be adaptable. And in the vast, unpredictable expanse of space, that was the greatest victory of all. The battle in the nebula became a lesson in controlled chaos. The Intrepid's weapons fired in patterns based on prime numbers, making them impossible to predict. The Dauntless used its quantum radio hybrid shields to absorb Gentai energy weapons and redirect them back with slightly altered frequencies. Meanwhile, the Challenger executed what Rajesh called a quantum drive hiccup, appearing to be in multiple locations simultaneously. The Gentai computers, trying to track all possible positions, began to overload. Their systems are designed for perfection, Rajesh explained as he monitored the battle from engineering. When faced with deliberate imperfection, they start breaking down. The supply convoy, protected by the most advanced defensive systems in the galaxy, fell to a fleet of human ships that by all rights shouldn't even be able to fly. 3 Gentai warships were disabled, their perfect systems corrupted by contact with human primitive technology. They're retreating, Wang announced with satisfaction, taking the remaining supply ships with them but leaving the disabled vessels behind. Victoria nodded. Prepare boarding parties. I want every piece of their technology that we can salvage. Chief Patel probably has some interesting ideas about how to misuse it. Misuse it, Rajesh's voice carried a note of mock offense. Captain, I prefer the term creatively repurpose. The victory at the Arcturus Nebula was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, Task Force Omega struck across Gentai supply lines, each attack different from the last. Sometimes they used electromagnetic pulses modified to mimic solar flares. Other times, they deployed clouds of self-replicating nanites that introduced random errors into Gentai computing systems. But it was the psychological impact that proved most significant. The Gentai, who had built their civilization on the principle of technological perfection, found themselves facing an enemy that embraced imperfection as a tactical advantage. They're beginning to hesitate, Wang noted during a task force briefing. Their responses are becoming less certain. They're starting to doubt their own systems. Good, Victoria said, doubt is healthy. It leads to adaptation. And adaptation, Rajesh added with a grin, leads to chaos, which is exactly where we want them. As Task Force Omega prepared for their next mission, Victoria reflected on how far they'd come. The Gentai had laughed at human technology, mocked their redundant systems and backup plans. Now, those same primitive approaches were changing the face of galactic warfare. The real question was, how would the Gentai respond? Would they adapt, embracing some of the chaos they had so long despised? Or would they double down on their pursuit of perfection? Either way, Task Force Omega would be ready. After all, as Rajesh liked to say, the only predictable thing about their tactics was their unpredictability. Perfect imperfection. Technical Officer Olivia Martinez stared at her sensor readings in disbelief. Captain, she called out, her voice tight with concern, you need to see this. The bridge crew of the Perseverance gathered around her station, watching as hundreds of Gentai signatures appeared at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. Leading the massive fleet was a vessel twice the size of anything they'd encountered before, High Commander Zix's new flagship, the Perfect Symmetry. "They've adapted," Lieutenant Commander Wang observed grimly. "Look at their formation patterns." Captain Victoria Russell studied the tactical display. The Gentai ships were arranged in what appeared to be random configurations, but Olivia's analysis revealed subtle mathematical patterns underlying the chaos. "They're trying to mimic our unpredictability," Olivia explained, "but they're doing it perfectly. Each random movement follows precise algorithms. They've turned chaos itself into an equation." A transmission cut through their analysis. High Commander Zix's face appeared on screen, his crystalline features set in what could only be described as smugness. "Captain Russell," he said, "we have learned from our encounters. Your primitive chaos has been analyzed, quantified, and improved upon. We have achieved what your species could not, perfect imperfection." Victoria exchanged glances with her crew. The Gentai had indeed adapted, but in doing so, they had revealed something crucial about their psychology. "Chief Patel," she called to engineering, "what do you make of this?" Rajesh's voice came through, tinged with excitement rather than fear. "They still don't get it, Captain. They've created a system to simulate chaos, but real chaos can't be systematized. It's like they've built a machine to generate random numbers using a fixed pattern." "Can we use that?" "Oh yes," Rajesh replied, "but I'll need help. Olivia, remember that project we discussed, the one that seemed too crazy to work?" Olivia's eyes widened. "The quantum cascade, but we never finished the calculations." "Because we couldn't get them perfect," Rajesh finished, "which might be exactly what we need." Victoria made her decision. "You have 2 hours. Wang, signal the rest of Task Force Omega. Tell them to fall back to position Delta. We're going to give the Gentai a lesson in true chaos." As the Perseverance and its sister ships retreated deeper into the system, the massive Gentai fleet followed. Their new random movements were impressive to behold, but as Olivia continued her analysis, patterns emerged. "They've created about 1,000 different variations of unpredictable maneuvers," she reported. "Complex but ultimately finite." In engineering, Rajesh and his team worked frantically to implement what they called the quantum cascade, a modification that would deliberately introduce true randomness into their ship systems. "The trick," he explained as he worked, "isn't to control the chaos but to ride it, like surfing a wave instead of trying to control the ocean." 2 hours later, the Task Force Omega ships held position near Proxima Centauri's solar radiation belt. Behind them was the colony they were protecting, home to millions of humans. Ahead of them, the largest Gentai fleet ever assembled approached in their new chaotic formation. "All ships report ready," Wang announced, "though I'm not sure ready is the right word for what we're about to do." Victoria stood from her command chair. "Send a message to High Commander Zix. Tell him we're about to show him the difference between calculating chaos and embracing it." The response was immediate. "Your primitive understanding of tactical mathematics is obsolete," Zix replied. "We have calculated every possible variation of your strategies." "Now, Chief," Victoria ordered. Rajesh activated the quantum cascade across all 4 ships of Task Force Omega. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Their ship systems began behaving in truly random ways, influenced by quantum fluctuations in the solar radiation around them. "It's working," Olivia exclaimed. "Every system is generating truly random outputs. Shields, weapons, engines, they're all operating on quantum uncertainty." The Gentai fleet's perfect formation faltered as their predictive algorithms failed to anticipate the humans' movements. Their calculated chaos couldn't match the genuine unpredictability of Task Force Omega's ships. "They're trying to adapt their patterns," Wang reported with a hint of satisfaction. "But their computers can't handle true randomness. They're stuck between their old perfect formations and their new calculated chaos." Victoria watched as the massive enemy fleet began to fall into disarray. The Perfect Symmetry, Zix's flagship, launched a barrage of weapons fire, but the quantum-influenced shields of the human ships flickered in and out of phase randomly, making it impossible to predict where they would be vulnerable. "Return fire," Victoria ordered. "All ships execute attack pattern Omega." Pattern was a loose term for what followed. Each ship of Task Force Omega moved independently, their actions guided by both skilled human intuition and quantum randomness. The Intrepid's weapons synchronized with solar flares, creating unpredictable energy surges. The Dauntless phased in and out of normal space, its hybrid drive systems interpreting random quantum signals. The Challenger, true to its name, charged straight into the heart of the Gentai fleet, its systems so chaotic that enemy targeting computers simply crashed trying to track it. And the Perseverance, led by Victoria's steady hand and Rajesh's inspired engineering, became a focal point of pure chaos in space. Their fleet is breaking apart, Olivia called out. Their formation algorithms are contradicting each other. Some ships are trying to maintain perfect order while others attempt to calculate chaos. They're actually firing on each other. On the perfect symmetry, High Commander Zix watched in horror as his fleet fell into genuine disorder. His attempt to perfect chaos had backfired spectacularly, creating confusion in his own forces. "This is impossible," he transmitted. "Our calculations were perfect." "That's the problem," Victoria replied. "True chaos can't be calculated. True adaptation isn't about perfecting imperfection, it's about accepting it." The Battle of Proxima Centauri lasted another 3 hours, but its outcome was decided in those first chaotic moments. The massive Gentai fleet, caught between paradigms of perfect order and calculated chaos, couldn't maintain cohesion. Ship after ship withdrew, their systems overwhelmed by the task of predicting the unpredictable. In the aftermath, as Task Force Omega regrouped around the saved colony, Victoria visited engineering to find Rajesh examining the quantum cascades effects.